Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we are doing another Hour of Devastation Amonkhet Intermediate Swiss Draft League. Let's see here. So we've got this Foil Reason to Believe, which is cool. We have the Nimble Obstructionist, which is good. Hope Tender, which is a little 2-drop ramper. I like the Vizier, I like the Guide, the Sandwalla, the Thirst. I like most of these cards. We probably take the rare Flash Flying, 3 power, 3 mana. It's got cycling. It has it's pretty flexible. I would say it's good at pretty much all points in the game. So that usually is the biggest indicator of if a card is good or not, and I would say yes, this is. Otherwise, it might be like Unquenchable Thirst, because it's just 2-drop, pretty hard removal spell. If you get any sort of desert synergy in your deck, it's blue removal, which is just, a little bit unusual. Vizier, I actually think I like Vizier. It's tough. You got to be able to get the goods for it, but I'm fine taking Nimble Obstructionist there. That seems fine. Okay, so now we have Supreme Will, another crack at Unquenchable Thirst. Anything else that's really good in here? I mean, I like the Scrapper a lot, but I'm fine following up with an Unquenchable Thirst and hoping to pick up some deserts. Keep this dream alive. I do want to play Supreme Will one of these days, but I don't think that this is better than Thirst. Counterspell, or look at top 4, put 1 in your hand. If it put the rest in the graveyard, this would be really good. But on the bottom, not quite as good. So let's take the Thirst. Be happy enough with that. It is removal after all. Alright, well, Hour of Eternity is fine. It's on color. I've played it. I think it's perfectly acceptable late game card. There's Ifnir Deadlands as well. I think we kind of want this Lethal Sting though. It's pretty hard removal. Hard to deny how good Lethal Sting is. I do really want to play this Ifnir Deadlands one of these days though. This does seem like a pretty good card. We're going to take the Lethal Sting though. Hard removal, 3 mana, deal with anything. I like it. Let's see, there's Carrion Screecher, Spellweaver Eternal, Tragic Lesson, Wretched Camel. I like Spellweaver Eternal. This is optimal in a blue-red deck. Carrion Screecher has flying. Neither the Screecher nor the Obstructionist are good with the Lethal Sting, though, which is kind of unfortunate. But then again, neither is Spellweaver Eternal. Spellweaver Eternal is just good because it's cheap. I was more on the fence with Carrion Screecher early. Now I'm a little bit more on board with it. I think it can be good. 4-drops are typically easy to get. I think we'll take the Screecher here. Usually I prioritize my 2-drops higher, but I don't know. I could have just taken the Afflict guy. I guess that would have been okay. So now we could take... let's see here. I mean, I don't have to stick to either of these colors. The strongest card in this pack is probably Aven, which I've been overall pretty impressed with. We could just take the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs if we're going for maybe some sort of blue-black flying deck. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs can hold down the fort reasonably well. Tragic Lesson is okay as well. Good instant speed thing to keep up alongside Nimble Obstructionist. There's a lot of cycling here, so maybe this is where Hollow One would be playable. Jace's Defeat is like a sideboard card. Could just take the... I think we'll take the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. I'm okay trying to build like an evasive blue-black deck, or maybe looking around to see if that's an option. Fairly late River Hoopu. There you go. I got the name right the first time. Go into green. I mean, I'm okay considering that. I actually like Kinra Eternal though. Probably more than Countervailing Winds, which does have cycling though, which is fine. But we'll take the Kinra Eternal. So we can take the Survivor's Encampment, pick up a desert now. There's Vile Manifestation. This might be a deck where it could be playable. We only have 1 cycler so far. But I already have 2 desert cards, right? I have the Wall and the Thirst, so I'm kind of tempted to pick up the Encampment. But I'm giving up like another Carrion Screecher. I don't know if that matters. There's also Marauding Bone Slasher. We do already have a couple zombies, which means this could be just a 3-mana 3/3, which is pretty good. I could just try the Vile Manifestation out. I'm going to take it. We'll experiment. Because, like I said, this is kind of a good... These are good cycle colors. So there's Cunning Survivor. Imaginary Threats does have cycling. It's just, I can't imagine I'm going to play it all that often. But then again, I mean, I guess this is kind of the same deck. Cunning Survivor and Vile Manifestation kind of do want to be in the same deck, so I'm just going to have to kind of actively seek playable cyclers. I guess I'm alright with that. Remember, the lands are cyclers too. We could take Reason, but if we can't play Believe, is that going to matter? Otherwise, we're taking Scrounger of Souls, which is playable. We'll take this. Maybe we can splash the Believe. I don't see why not. You're paying 5 mana. It's not like you're even cheating a creature out. But that's fine. So we can take the Rivulet, get our first desert now. Like I said, we already have a couple deserts. I kind of wish this was a cycle land, though. Otherwise, we could take the Screecher. But we do actually need some deserts, so I'll take it. Could take another desert here, or another crack at the Screecher. This is only good. I mean, we do have a Sacrifice a Desert card, so we could get a zombie. Otherwise, I should maybe just take another flyer. There's another cycle card. We'll take the Dunes. It's not super exciting. I could have just taken the flyer there. There's Bloodwater Entity, which is, this late is kind of unusual because it is a good card. But I'm probably not going to splash for it. It's probably not worth the splash. I guess we'll take a Tragic Lesson. Second, I think we'll take the Jace's Defeat. It's a reasonable sideboard card, definitely. I don't know if I need a second Tragic Lesson. Alright. Kind of a weird pack one. Wow, Ronus' Last Stand. I don't think that's worth anything, oddly. I kind of expected it to be worth something. It's worth 5 cents. Is the card? A 2-mana 5/4 is worth 5 cents. Wow. I honestly would not have predicted that. Alright, probably just taking another Lethal Sting. It's a great removal spell still. Desert of the Mindful. I mean, I want all these cycle deserts so I could actually play Vile Manifestation, but I'm not taking a desert over a hard removal spell, so there you have it. There you have it, folks. Alright, so Reed Stalker flies. We have Unsummon, another wall, a desert, a Bone Slasher, a Combatant, Strategic Plan, plenty of options to choose from. Plenty of options to choose from. So Unsummon is good because you can get rid of... It's very versatile in this format. It kills the Eternalize and Balm guys. It bounces your dudes that have like an Unquenchable Thirst or a Compulsory Rest or a Desert's Hold on them. So it kills tokens, which are huge in this format, and it protects your guys, and it's just tempo. It's kind of an important card, even outside of blue-red. And I feel like if we take it here, we might still, at the very least, wheel a Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs, or the Reed Stalker, probably the Combatant, Strategic Plan. Like, one of these cards we want will wheel, but I'm not 100% sure we'd wheel the Unsummon, which I do think is good enough to take here. So there's Wretched Camel. Now might be a time to take a Cycle Desert, although there are some pretty good cards in here. The Camel, the Planning, the Bone Slasher, the Scrounger, all of those are good, but I think we're going to take a Cycle Desert. Which one? I think the blue one might be more likely to wheel. I guess I'm not sure. I guess we already have 2 deserts, but this is my first Cycle Desert. Steward of Solidarity in here too. Defeats a good sideboard card. Jeez, this is tough. I'm going to take the Black Desert. So here's another desert, but now maybe we want the Reed Stalker, another crack at Scrounger of Souls too, but I think we'll take the flyer here. Another Vile Manifestation. We're going to take it. I still am trying to believe that we can make it work, but it's going to be tough if we don't get more, because what do we have right now for cycling? We don't have much. We basically just have... We can hope we have 1. We can hope to pick it up out of pack 3, but that's our last chance. Otherwise, I'm giving up. Like, Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs actually is pretty good in this deck. I just want to believe that this is good. I mean, they do get good in multiples because they have cycling too. But it might be just like a pinger with 3 deserts is better, honestly. If I was guaranteed I could pick up a ton of cyclers out of pack 3, I'd be much more in line with taking Vile Manifestation. I mean, we can try it. It's experimental. We'll try it. All right, another crack at some Cycle Deserts here. So now we can take the blue one. And then I guess we're up to 3 cycle cards, but you're going to want a minimum of like 9 to really reliably make these Vile Manifestations good, I think. But even if they're 2 mana 2/4s, you should be pretty happy. That's pretty bulky. But we'll take the Desert of the Mindful now. So another crack at Cunning Survivor. Currently have 6 things that can activate the Riddle form, which isn't bad. There's another crack at Reed Stalker, or take the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. I think this card is just straight good in our deck now. Because, I mean, Riddle form would be fine too, because we do actually have some tools for it. But I actually like Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs in here. We have 4 deserts already, so kind of makes sense to me. Feels like we're pretty reliably going to get there with them. Well, here's another Cycle Discard Synergy card, but I think we're looking at Unsummon number 2. Here's another Cycler, but Unsummon is just very good. I'm going to take it. Alright, get the Desert. All these Cycle lands are going to add up. This is great. This is very good. Alright, another Reed Stalker is fine with me. It's totally playable. This deck's coming together better than one might think. Alright, we can take the Strategic Planning. I actually kind of like this card. Turns on your desert cards, potentially. Liliana's Defeat would be a great sideboard card, and Scrounger would be good, but I actually like Strategic Planning, and it feeds our Vital Manifestation, too. I think that's just correct. Alright, Dagger of the Worthy is good on flyers. Another crack at taking Scrounger of Souls, though. Dagger of the Worthy is not great in a Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs deck. We'll take the Scrounger. I guess I'll just take this because it's rare, but I don't think we're going to play it. So we're already up to... Alright, I like getting all these late... This is not bad. We still can make Vile Manifestation work too, which is nice. We have 4 Cycler cards right now. I guess you can count the Vile Manifestations too, so 5 technically. I mean, I don't want to say 6, because if you have one... Basically, if you can't count it to itself, but you can count the other one, if that makes sense. All right, so there's Splendid Agony in here. Shimmer Scale Drake has cycling. Excuse me. I think we're going to wheel the Unburden. I might play. It's certainly playable. I don't love it, but it does work with the Vile Manifestation Cunning Survivor plan. Splendid Agony, though, is pretty good removal. I kind of want to just take that here, and we hope to wheel Unburden or Drake. Both would be great for us, but removal it is. Gravedigger is a fantastic card. There's Winds of Rebuke, which would also be good in here. Essence Scatter. Gravedigger's too good to pass, though. Really excellent card. Happily taking that. Well, another crack at cycling, but Baleful Lament is much too good to pass. This is one of those incredibly strong 3-drops that's sort of a game flipper. Otherwise, yeah, there's another Splendid Agony, which would be good. The Essence Scatter, the Floodwaters for cycling, but we got to take the Amit. Vile Manifestation is a tough one to build around because you're just always tempted to take a better card than cycling, you know? We can take the Drake now. Drake is fine. Maybe we want the Illumination. It also has cycling, and we get to draw 2. Whereas this has to be in our graveyard. This goes to our graveyard either way, whether we cycle it or we draw. Plus card advantage is good, especially in a deck like this that wants to outvalue the opponent. I'm fine taking the Illumination here, I think. This has Evasion 2, which is good. I'm fine taking Illumination. Let's actively try and make these Vile Manifestations good in our deck. Alright, Wandering Death is fantastic. I'm happy to take that. We already have 2 unsummoned, so I guess we don't need the Winds of Rebuke. Though Winds of Rebuke does work well in our deck as well. I guess Wandering Death potentially pulls cycling cards out of your graveyard, but that's fine. It has cycling, so it fuels it too. It just seems correct for us. Maybe just strict card disadvantage to scry 3 is not worth it. So we have a Floodwaters opportunity now, or a second Wandering Death. Both of those are fine. I usually cut Floodwaters, but I don't know about running multiple Wandering Deaths might be awkward. I guess I don't 100% know on that one. It's tough to say, actually. I kind of like the idea of the card advantage of Wandering Death. They both have cycling, so it's good. I guess just for diversity's sake, I'd take a Floodwaters. Okay, wow. So Sniper, I mean, we've got the goods for it now. So it seems like we've got to take it. We already have these dudes. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Sniper's good. We're taking it over Seeker and another Wonder in Death. Faith of the Devoted. I want to. You know how long it's been since I've played this. I'll take it over a Stamina. We'll hope that we can make it work. All right, we got the Unburden. All right. Taking it over Sentinels. I'm going to take Winds of Rebuke over Scarab Feast, though. Because Wind still fuels the plan, too. Compelling Arguments, not that good. We'll take the Minotaur because it's pretty playable. Take the Skirmisher. Alright, I mean, the good news is we can make this deck. This deck came together. We've got the goods. And we've got enough to make this totally work. So, that is the good news. We're finally going to be able to try out some Vile Manifestations. I don't even have bad news. We have enough removal. Could always use more removal, but we have enough. We got enough deserts. The Ipnu Rivulet as well. Alright. So, I don't think that this is worth playing just as a 1-mana Scry 3. Maybe there's an argument for it, but like I said, it's strict card disadvantage to make your card quality better. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan. And especially in this deck that actually needs to make this plan come together. Plus, we need to make a lot of cuts. We probably need to make 8 cuts. I can get away with 16 lands, but I don't want to do anything other than that. So, we don't want to cut cycle cards if we can avoid it. So I think we probably cut the Tragic Lesson, even though it's some card or advantage, rather. I could cut the Strategic Planning. I like that it fuels the cycle plan, though. But I think we just don't have space for it. I can cut a couple creatures too, which is fine. So probably Cunning Survivor is going to be better than Skirmisher in this deck because we actually have somewhat of a cycle plan. And the Camel is going to make our opponent discard, so probably... I could run Skirmisher over Eternal. We're not a beatdown deck, and we don't have zombie synergies. So to me, the Afflict on Eternal... Even though I think Eternal in a vacuum is a better card, I think Skirmisher for our deck is actually better. Because we have ways to get it in the graveyard, too, via Strategic Planning or Winds of Rebuke. So that kind of makes sense to me that we would play something that trades early and we can bring back later if we need it. We'll do a final cycle count at some point, too. But for now, I also like that we're not super color intensive at all. We do have like a double blue and a double black, but they both happen to be cards that can cycle as well. Compelling Arguments out of here. Like, I don't want to cut cyclers, but this is just not good enough. Just mediocre enough where we need to cut it. We can cut another creature too. So maybe it is the Skirmisher. Like, the weakest 2 creatures in my deck are probably Kenra Eternal and Takrop Skirmisher. Yeah. That is probably true. Okay. They're gone. So no more creatures to be cut, I don't think. Which means we're going to have to really hone in on what this deck needs. And I think cyclers are what we need, honestly. So I think we probably cut the Strategic Planning, even though, like I said, it can fuel the plan. And it's not card advantage, but it replaces itself with a better card, presumably. So, and it digs a little bit. I don't know. It's good. I like it in this deck. I just don't think that we're ultimately going to want it. And then we've got to figure some more stuff out, huh? So let's do a cycle count now to sort of get a feel for where we're at. I guess I will count the manifestations. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10. Yes. 10 cycle cards is going to be enough to reliably make Vile Manifestation do something, which I like. And enough for Faith of the Devoted too. So, all right, here's the deal. No non-cycling, or wait, what am I trying to say? I want to cut cards that don't have cycling. That's it. These are the only things I'm willing to cut. I mean, this doesn't have cycling, but it does have good synergy with our cycle cards, which was the reason that I wanted it in the first place. But if I was going to cut a creature, honestly, it would probably be the Cunning Survivor, even in a cycling deck. That's difficult, but I think true. Maybe the Scrounger of Souls, because we do want to play 24 lands, or 16 lands rather, 24 cards. So just make ourselves a 4-drop or less deck. I might have to get behind that. I like Scrounger of Souls, but maybe it's gone. And then we have 2 unsummons and a Winds of Rebuke. I don't like cutting unsummon, but we might just cut one of them. I guess we have enough bounce. And like I said, Winds of Rebuke is deceptively good in this deck because not only does it fuel our Vile Manifestations, but it also fuels our Gravedigger, which is good, and our Wandering Death, which is good. So it seems better for our deck than an Unsummon, despite having the extra mana cost. And it turns on all our desert cards as well, if we mill a desert. So it's sensibly a better card for our deck than Unsummon, I would say, most of the time. So we'll cut an Unsummon. And then I do have to cut one more card. I really don't want to cut the other Unsummon, but I hate to say that it might actually be that. Because I don't want to cut another creature. I really don't want to cut another creature. And I kind of want to, just for old time's sake, I want to play Faith of the Devoted. I want to be disappointed by Faith of the Devoted, is what I'm trying to say. We should have gotten that Seeker of Insight. That card was so excellent with Faith of the Devoted. I guess we're cutting Unsummon. I don't want to, but I think it's what we got to do. This deck is cool. It's been a while since I've drafted a cycle-related deck, mostly because I thought they were very, very suboptimal in Triple Amonkhet. And to be honest, I think they're still suboptimal. But I think people would be interested in seeing this because this is the first time that I've actually run the Vile Manifestation plan. And we have some other cool synergies. And our curve is fantastic. And we have some card advantage, admittedly not a lot, but Gravedigger, Illumination, the Wandering Death, those are fine pieces of card advantage. We have some flexible cards like Unburden that are typically pretty suboptimal, but Cycle works for our deck, and sometimes you'll just rip it and they'll have 2 cards in their hand and you get to just get their last 2 cards, which is cool too. And it just has synergy with cards in our deck. Okay, I'm totally on board with this deck. I don't have confidence that it's a 3-0 deck, but it looks like it could be very fun if we ripped a nice combination of cards here. Better chance I'm going to be doing 9-7, yeah. I think we're just going to do 9-7, although I have to run my deserts first, so. Do I want to run the Dunes of the Dead? I have one way to get it in my graveyard from the battlefield, so I would say no. I think we're just going to do 4 deserts and be happy enough with that, not running a colorless land that basically just has synergy with Rivulet. How many actual... I mean, Rivulet is kind of cool because we can potentially buff our own Vile Manifestations, yeah. And maybe fuel our own Gravedigger, or, yeah, so we'd probably mill ourselves with Rivulet. As crazy as that sounds, that probably is what we would do. So we're not running Dunes of the Dead. I don't like it enough with 1 card in our deck to make me want to run it. I mean, granted, it works with more cards in our deck because it turns on our desert dudes, but I think our desert dudes should be fine with... we have 4 desert cards in our deck. Yeah, desert dudes should be fine with 4 deserts, I think. So this is a cool deck. 10 cycle cards with the Vile Manifestations, the Ruthless Sniper, the Faith of the Devoted. It looks like fun. I think it'll be a fun deck. So we've got 3 blue sources already. We need more black than blue, right? Is that what it was? Yes. So that probably means we're going to run 9-7, which means we need 8 more swamps and 4, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, yep. So this is 9 black and 7 blue, which I think is correct. And looks good to me. I'm a little bit scared of the fact that so much of our, like, I would see the problem with is I'd much rather cycle the deserts than play them because of the synergies in our deck. That is true, which almost makes me rather do 8/8, because that way I'll have more islands, and that way I can more likely cycle the deserts. I think I'm going to go with that. We have much more need for black in our deck, but to me it makes more sense to always or more reliably have blue mana so that I can cycle deserts to fuel the manifestations, the sniper, the Faith of the Devoted, because those are kind of key cards in our deck, obviously. So, all right, this looks like a fun deck. Let's try it out, see what we think. Curve is pretty good. We've got the removal to boot. Looks like a fun deck. We'll try it like this. We'll see you round one.